Welcome to This Explainer. As a cybersecurity professional, I spend my days analyzing zero-day threats, digging into malware signatures, tracking advanced persistent threats, the usual stuff. But today we're not just looking at some new piece of malware. We are looking at a fundamental shift in the very fabric of the threat landscape. We're delivering an urgent threat briefing on the AI cyber arms race. We're going to look closely at the rapidly accelerating tension between machine speed offense and human-paced defense. Just listen to this stark warning from security expert Bruce Schneier in our source material. Quote, "The truth is scary. Modern generative AI systems are getting really good at finding and exploiting vulnerabilities." And guys, this isn't just theoretical anymore. We've literally crossed a threshold where the cognitive tasks required to break into complex systems are being automated at scale. The stakes for this briefing absolutely could not be higher. Okay, so let's dive right into this. Here's our agenda for today's briefing. First, we'll look at an unreleased cyber weapon. Then we'll cover the offensive AI advantage, followed by the defensive patching race. After that, we'll tackle the massive danger of unpatched systems. And finally, what happens when we start hacking the real world? Let's get into it. Starting with Section 1, the unreleased cyber weapon, focusing specifically on Anthropic's Mythos AI. So Anthropic recently made this pretty remarkable announcement about their new model, the Claude Mythos Preview. They essentially built a tool that was so powerful, they actually decided it was too dangerous to release to the general public. Instead of putting it out there in the wild, they restricted access to just a select group of companies so those companies could scan and fix their own proprietary software. It is, for all intents and purposes, a weaponized bug finder, and keeping it locked down really shows you just how destructive its creators think it could be in the wrong hands. But here's the reality check, right? The genie is already out of the bottle. Anthropic's model is not unique. The UK's AI Security Institute actually ran the numbers and found that OpenAI's GPT-5.5, a model that's already generally available, has comparable hacking capabilities. Plus, another company called Isle managed to reproduce Anthropic's published results using smaller, much cheaper models. So this capability to automatically hunt down security flaws, it's completely distributed and accessible now. Moving on to Section 2, the offensive AI advantage, where we'll look at red team automation. Now, this right here is the absolute core tension of our analysis today. AI is the ultimate double-edged sword. On one side of the scale, you have the offensive exploitation risks. AI takes hacking and turns it from this slow, manual, human-driven art form into a high-speed, automated numbers game. But on the exact same scale, you've got defensive patching. Think about it. The exact same pattern matching that finds a bug to exploit can be used to find a bug to fix before the software even ships. Looking at it from the offensive side, look, the motives haven't changed, but the scale absolutely has. Threat actors are going to unleash these models to just automatically scour the internet for vulnerabilities across all kinds of systems. We're talking planting ransomware for massive financial gain, state actors using it to quietly steal data for espionage, and honestly, perhaps the most concerning part, mapping and controlling critical infrastructure like power grids or water supplies during times of geopolitical hostility. It threatens to make our digital world incredibly volatile. Which brings us to Section 3, the defensive patching race. Let's flip the script and look at blue team tactics. Okay, I want you to look at this number. 271. That is the exact number of vulnerabilities that Mozilla successfully found and fixed in their Firefox browser, all by using the Mythos model. What is truly transformative about this is the permanence of those fixes. Those 271 flaws in Firefox, they are now permanently closed to attackers. Moving forward, AI systems automatically finding and fixing vulnerabilities isn't going to be some cool novelty. It's literally going to be a normal, required part of the software development pipeline. The source analysis clearly points out that because AIs are rapidly getting better at writing code, they are inherently getting better at writing secure code. Let's move to Section 4, the unpatched systems danger, focusing on the human bottleneck. We really need to clearly delineate the timeline here. Now, the long-term reality? It's actually optimistic. AI-enhanced defenders will eventually gain the advantage because software will just be built securely from the ground up. But the short-term reality? Yeah, it's going to be highly dangerous, incredibly volatile, and defined by a massive deluge of unpatched exploits. We are heading right into a very rocky transition period. And here's why. Right now, finding and exploiting a vulnerability is fundamentally easier than finding, patching, testing, and actually deploying a fix.
And as commenters in the source material rightly pointed out, we have a massive human bottleneck. Our entire infrastructure relies on older, unsupported, end-of-life legacy systems. You can't magically patch a system that no longer receives updates. These unpatchable systems are basically wide-open doors for AI exploitation, and it's happening at a speed humans simply cannot match.
Finally, Section 5, Hacking the Real World. Let's talk about society's code. So what happens when these capabilities expand beyond computer networks? Well, think about the tax code. It isn't written in Python or C++, but it is essentially a massive, highly complex algorithm. It has inputs, it has outputs, and it has rules. And you know what? Just like software, it has vulnerabilities. We just happen to call them tax loopholes. It has exploits, which we call tax avoidance strategies, and it has a continuous stream of attackers constantly probing its defenses. The black hat hackers of the real world are highly paid attorneys and accountants. Consider massive, complex tax avoidance exploits like the double Dutch Irish sandwich, which spans multiple global jurisdictions. The source analysis actually suggests that major investment banks are almost certainly feeding national tax codes into AI models right now, in secret, tasking them with automatically uncovering entirely new, incredibly complex, money-saving strategies. And as goes the tax code, so goes every other complex system of societal rules. This is exactly why this matters to you directly. We have to expect that powerful entities will use AI to aggressively search for undiscovered loopholes in environmental protections, food and safety guidelines, complex financial regulations, the whole shebang. The exact same pattern-matching capabilities that allow AI to break software work just as well for breaking the regulatory frameworks that govern our everyday lives. But here is where the patching gap becomes truly terrifying. If a software vendor finds a critical vulnerability, they can usually push an emergency patch in a matter of days, maybe even hours. But governments? It generally takes years to amend a tax code or fix a regulatory loophole. The process is intensely political. For example, the analysis points out the decades-old carried interest tax loophole in the US. Legislators have repeatedly failed to close it simply because of intense lobbying. When society's rules have vulnerabilities, political pressure keeps those vulnerabilities open indefinitely, all while AI exploits them at lightning speed. Which leaves us with the ultimate question from today's briefing. Just as the Industrial Revolution allowed us to consume physical energy at scale, AI allows us to perform cognitive tasks at scale. But our institutions, our laws, and our patching pipelines, they are designed for human pace. So how will our human-paced society survive machine-speed exploitation? Adapting to this new reality is going to be incredibly difficult, but as the data shows, we really don't have any other choice. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your systems patched and stay vigilant.